Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. Come on over. Let's share the page, share the live, that is. Hope you're having a phenomenal Wednesday. All right, let's get this shared. Come on over. Let me know you're here when you're here. Welcome, welcome. Somebody's here. How you feel? Let me know who's here. Just figuring out how to share it while we're waiting on a few people to join. I'm on later today than usual, but glad to be here. Here we go. Share. Come on over. Come on over. Once you're here, let me know you're here. Let me know where you're watching from. Have some important information to share with you today. Looking forward to our time together. Going to also share this to the threshing floor. Phenomenal ministry in the Middle Tennessee area. We're still getting it going. There we go. So glad you're here today for Wisdom Wednesday. Let me know you're here. Let me know who's with us. And I'm going to get started in just a couple minutes. You may have seen the posts I shared. Food for thought, helping us to think about what we're thinking about, what we're feeding our minds with. That's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. What are you feeding your mind? What are you paying attention to that you should be paying attention to? And what are you paying attention to that you shouldn't be paying attention to? We're going to talk. We're going to have a good time. Welcome. Welcome. I see you all coming on over. Let me know who's here. Let me know where you're watching from. Welcome. So glad you're here. So while you're here, if you could share the page so that other people can also benefit from these few minutes that I want to share with you today. Like our page, which is Wisdom Wednesdays with Razel Jones. Follow that page. Let us know where you're watching from. I'm later today than usual. We try to get on every Wednesday at 12 Eastern Time, 11 Central. The morning did not allow that. It's been a busy morning. And so we moved it a little bit later today. Hopefully you saw my note letting you know that was happening. But it's better late than never, right? And it's still Wednesday. So I'm not really late. I'd be late if I was doing Wisdom Wednesday on Thursday or Friday, but it's still Wednesday, so we're all right. And so, yeah, I'm ready to talk to you. So glad you're here. Hopefully I have something that will be useful for you today. I posted a scripture, Philippians 4:8, and it says, I'd say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating on things true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious, the best, not the worst, the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse. So there's a whole lot in that one little verse, and I just want to share just a few of my takeaways from that verse with you now. It says, fill your mind with the right things, on truth, not falsehoods, not lies, on what's noble, not on the low end, but the high end, what's reputable instead of what's corrupt, what's authentic or real instead of what's fake, what's compelling rather than what's boring, what's gracious rather than what's judgmental. So if you've spent any time listening to me talk, you've probably heard me say, find what's right with you instead of what's wrong with you. In the same way, right along with that whole concept, find what's right with the situations that are confronting you. instead of always focusing on what's wrong with it, what's wrong with your situation, what's wrong with your relationship, what's wrong with your job. If you focus on what's right, you'll be less overwhelmed with what's wrong, and your attitude will be better when you focus on what's right. So take your job, for instance. I mentioned your job, employment is something that's been on my mind a little bit. And when you think about your job, I'm sure that you can find a million things that's wrong with it, from the rate of pay to the amount of time off to the people you work with to your supervisor who doesn't treat you the way you want to be treated, your coworkers who hate on you. There's so many things that we can go down rabbit holes, and we can be very frustrated with what's wrong with an employment situation. I'm sure you can find a ton of things, but if you want to be able to better endure what's missing, pay attention to what's right about it. Pay attention to what's right about your job, even. And so I want to challenge you just for a few minutes. You know, I always ask you to do something. What I'd like for you to do is just to take a minute and think about and come up with like 3 things that are great about your job. I know that's hard for some of you. That's hard because we're so focused on what's wrong. I need you to shift away from what's wrong. It's easy for you to shift to say what's wrong, but I need you to shift, do the harder work and shift to what's right. 3 things. Think about 3 things that are great about your job. And I don't know how comfortable you are, but if you're comfortable enough, if you could type at least one of those things in the comment box, that would be awesome. I think I'm giving you just a couple minutes to do this exercise, whether you're watching this live with me, and I see a few of you have joined in, so glad that you're here, or if you're watching it on the playback. Think about 3 things that are great about your employment situation or about your job. If you're comfortable, type it in the comment box. And then as you're doing this, I've given you a little bit of time. What if you started every workday like this? What if this was your approach every time you entered into the office or into the factory or whatever it is, the setting that you work in, into the restaurant, wherever it may be? What if you started your day thinking about what's right instead of what's wrong? One of the posts that I put up earlier said, develop a habit of positivity by occupying your mind with the study of what is good and right. What is good and right. You got to occupy your mind with what's right rather than what's wrong. Leave no room for negativity. The right order is for you to be in control of your thoughts, not for your thoughts to be in control of you. Let's just admit it. If you're anything like me, our thoughts can be really messed up. It is not wise to follow the trail of every one of your thoughts. Maybe you won't be that honest, but I'm going to be honest. It is not wise to follow the trail that your thoughts will lead you on. You can't follow every one of those. When you begin to think negatively or even to think thoughts that you know you shouldn't be thinking, it becomes your responsibility. You have to learn to combat the negative thoughts by occupying your mind with positive thoughts. Both positivity and negativity are contagious. Both positivity and negativity are contagious. Therefore, practice positivity. Spread positivity. Sometimes you don't realize it, but the way that you feel has the power to influence your whole environment. In other words, if you come in feeling down, it's likely going to make others feel down too. If you come in looking at the bright side of situations, it's likely that other people are going to look at the bright side of the situations too. If you come in being appreciative, it's likely that others are going to be appreciative too. In most cases, it's reciprocal. I know that there are situations where that doesn't always tend to be true. Sometimes you can be as positive as you want to be, and you're still confronted with negativity. But most of the time, you get back what you put out. That's not 100%, but most of the time, if you practice positivity, then people around you will become more positive. If you smile, people are more likely to smile back at you than to look at you with a grimace and a frown. You get back what you put out. So therefore, if you feel like people are always negative with you, check yourself. Take a self-examination, look at yourself and say, why is it that everyone is always negative with me? It could be that you are pushing negativity out. And so then that's what you're getting back. Fix your thoughts. Question for you. Are your thoughts working for you? When they're broken thoughts, you have to learn to replace them with working thoughts. Pay attention to the mood your thoughts put you in. If it's putting you in a dark place, you got to stop thinking about it. If it's putting you in a negative place, then you have to find a way. You control your thoughts. Your thoughts don't control you. You have to begin to shift your thoughts to a place that's going to take you to the right place. If they're not taking you where you're trying to go, you've got to feed yourself more positivity to push out the negativity that's trying to trap you. It's trying to imprison you. Pay attention to the actions that your thoughts lead you to. If they're not pushing you to do positive and productive things, you've got to fix your thoughts. You have the power to posture your mind towards either the positive or towards the negative. It's up to you. It's up to you. Tell yourself what you're going to tell yourself. Somebody write that down. It's going to take a minute for it to sink in for somebody. Tell yourself what you're going to tell yourself. And then tell yourself what you're not going to tell yourself. What do I mean? So when negativity enters your head, you have to be strong enough and confident enough and aware enough to tell yourself, I'm not going to focus on that. A negative thought is going to enter your head. You have to be able to control it and say, you know what? I'm not going to give my attention and my time and my energy to this negative thought. You have to replace it instead with positivity. You have to instead replace it with hope. The scripture said, I'd say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating on things true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious, the best, not the worst, the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse. So I want to end, that verse it has so much in it, and it tells us what to think about and what to pay attention to and what not to think about and what not to pay attention to. And it says the best, not the worst. So number one, study what works and stop focusing on what didn't work. Some of us get stuck in life and we stop making progress because we focus on what didn't work. When we tried last time, it didn't work. When we put our effort into it last time, it didn't work. So I'm not going to try anymore. I'm just going to give up. I'm done. And it takes us into a dark place. It takes us into a negative place. This tells us to focus on the best, not the worst. What did work? Study what works. That's number one. Study what works and stop focusing on what didn't work. The scripture continues to tell us focus on the beautiful and not the ugly. So number two, study what is attractive and amazing and stop finding the worst in everything that you encounter. Stop finding the worst in it. Then the last thing that the scripture tells us is to focus on things to praise, not things to curse. So number three, study what's worthy of your thought, your time, and your attention. And stop giving attention to things that aren't worthy of your time. That was a mouthful in itself. I'm going to say it again. Study what's worthy of your thought, your time, and your attention. And stop giving attention to things that are not worthy of your time. That's what I have to share with you today on Wisdom Wednesday. I hope you got something out of it. Share this. If you can think of someone that this may be helpful to, hopefully it's helpful to you first. Don't just think about everybody else who needs it. Think of how you can apply it. But if you can think of someone else who needs it, do one of two things. Just share it to your feed, share it to your page, or even you can share it directly to them in Messenger. Let's make sure that we're spreading positivity, that we're letting our positivity be contagious. Even when situations around us aren't exactly what we want them to be, there are things that we can do to change our situation. You can be an atmosphere changer with your attitude. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wisdom Wednesday. Thanks for joining us. Follow us on Wisdom Wednesday with Razel Jones. Have a great day.